I smooth the front of my navy dress, the one I spent 3 months saving for Anne, take a deep breath before entering the grand foyer of Riverstone Manor. Madison's wedding venue is exactly what she always wanted. Marble floors that gleam like mirrors, crystal chandeliers catching the late afternoon sunlight, and floral arrangements so perfect they barely look real. White roses and pale pink peonies cascade from pedestals placed at precise intervals, their subtle fragrance mingling with expensive perfume. A string quartet plays softly in the corner, the familiar notes of Pachelbel's canon floating through the air, as guests in designer outfits mingle and laugh. This is Madison's moment, her perfect day. Despite our differences, I've been looking forward to witnessing it. Beautiful, isn't it? An older woman comments as she passes, diamond earrings catching the light. I nod and smile. Breathtaking. The seating chart display stands near the entrance to the ballroom, an elegant affair, with calligraphy on cream cardstock, framed in ornate silver. Guests cluster around it, finding their names and table numbers with pleased murmurs. I hang back until there's a clearing, then step forward, my finger tracing down the family tables first. Table 1. Mother and Father Carson, Madison's godparents, Uncle Robert and Aunt Grace. Table 2. Grandparents, Ryan and his wife, cousins from Dad's side. I frown, scanning again. Perhaps I missed it. My finger moves more deliberately now, checking each name at tables 3 and 4, where extended family is seated. My name isn't there. I check again, my heart beating faster. Then I scan every table listed, eyes darting across all 14 arrangements. My name simply doesn't exist on any of them. Can I help you find your seat? I turn to see a wedding coordinator in a sleek black dress, clipboard in hand, and sympathy already forming in her eyes. She's seen this before, the confused guest, the awkward moment. I'm Natalie Carson, I say, the bride's sister. Something flickers across her face, discomfort, perhaps recognition. Ah, yes, Miss Carson. She hesitates, then gestures toward the hallway. You're at table 15. I follow her gesture and spotted a small round table positioned near the coat check, just outside the main ballroom. It stands alone like an afterthought, partially obscured by a decorative column. There must be some mistake, I say, my voice sounding distant to my own ears. I'm Madison's sister. The coordinator's smile turns brittle. I'm sorry, but this is the arrangement I was given. She lowers her voice, specifically approved by the bride. Heat floods my face, rising from my chest to my hairline in a wave I can't control. The room suddenly feels too warm, too crowded. I'm aware of eyes on Memmy cousin Bethany, whispering to her husband, an aunt from Ohio, watching with undisguised curiosity. My stomach twists as though I've been physically struck. 29 years of being the forgotten middle child, the one whose accomplishments were acknowledged with distracted nods, while Madison's smallest achievements warranted celebration, and yet this still blindsides me. I remember Thanksgiving just 6 months ago, Madison glowing as she announced her engagement, the antique diamond sparkling on her finger. How I'd hugged her afterward, genuinely happy for her, despite our complicated relationship. I'd love to help with the planning, I'd offered. Just let me know what you need. Thanks, Nat, she'd said with that dismissive smile. But Denise? That's Blake's mom. She's got connections with all the best vendors. And Mom's been dreaming of this day forever. More memories surface. Mom and Madison poring over bridal magazines when I visited at Christmas, their conversation stopping when I entered the room. The group texts about bridesmaids' dresses that somehow never included me. The way Dad changed the subject when I asked about wedding details over the phone. I'd told myself I was imagining the distance, that moving to Oregon for my teaching job had naturally created some separation, that family connections sometimes need time to adjust. I was wrong. My first impulse is what it's always been, to accept this slight with grace, to take my seat at the isolated table, to keep the peace at my own expense, to be the Natalie everyone expects, accommodating, understanding, invisible. But something shifts inside me, a tectonic plate moving after years of pressure. This isn't just about a seating chart. This is about a lifetime of being overlooked, of my needs and feelings being secondary, to everyone else's convenience. I straightened my spine, feeling a strange calm replace the initial shock. Some family ties aren't meant to bind, they're meant to break. The realization settles over me with surprising clarity. Across the foyer, I spot the mom in her mother of the bride finery, Madison radiant in a white robe, saving the dress reveal for later, of course, both laughing with an elegant older woman who must be Denise, Blake's mother. They stare the entrance to the bridal suite, champagne flutes in hand, perfectly at ease. My feet begin moving toward them before my mind fully forms the decision. Each step feels deliberate, purposeful. Have you ever wondered what happens when a person who's been invisible their whole life suddenly decides to be seen? Madison's perfect day was about to show exactly that. My feet carry me across the marble floor with purpose, each step echoing against the polished stone. Madison stands in a circle of admiration her mother, 3 bridesmaids in matching silk robes, and Denise all gathered around her like planets orbiting a sun. Their laughter cuts off abruptly as I approach. "Oh, Natalie," Madison's voice rises half an octave, that artificial brightness I've known since childhood. "Don't you look nice?" Her eyes flick over my carefully chosen navy dress, the one I wore to my master's graduation event. She skipped because her college roommate was having a housewarming party the same weekend. I feel the familiar sting, then push it aside. "Thank you," I reply, my voice steadier than expected. I'm a bit confused about the seating arrangements. Mom immediately steps forward, champagne flute still in hand. "Not now, Natalie. It's Madison's special day." The dismissive wave of her hand is so practiced, I wonder if she's even aware she's doing it. I notice the bridesmaids exchange glances. One of them, Jessica, I think takes a small step backward, as if removing herself from whatever is about to happen. A few guests linger nearby, their attention caught by our little tableau. I understand it's a special day, I continue, focusing on Madison. That's why I'm surprised to find myself seated at a table by the coat check, outside the ballroom. Madison's perfect smile falters, then reassembles itself. "We had to prioritize close family at the main tables," she says, her voice carrying just enough for the growing audience to hear. "I am close family." The words come out simple, factual. Something shifts in Madison's eyes, a calculation. A decision. "You're not really immediate family anymore, Natalie." She straightens her silk robe, embroidered bride, catching the light. "You moved away, you barely visit, and honestly, we're just in different places now." The blow lands with precision. In one sentence, she's rewritten our entire history, 29 years of shared bathrooms, Christmas mornings, and family vacations erased, because I dared to build a life that didn't revolve around Cedar Falls, Iowa. Mom steps closer to Madison, a united front. "Natalie, please. Today isn't about seating charts. It's about celebrating your sister's happiness." Which is exactly why I came, I counter, surprised at the clarity in my voice. Denise chooses this moment to drift into our circle, her tailored pantsuit and pearl earrings radiating old money confidence. She looks me up and down with barely concealed amusement. "Oh, so you're the one with that special seat." Her predatory smile doesn't reach her eyes. Weddings really do show who matters most in a family, don't they? The realization washes over me like ice water. This wasn't oversight or thoughtlessness, this was deliberate. The quick glance between Madison and Denise confirms it. They planned this humiliation together, probably over lunch at that country club Madison mentioned in her texts last month. From the corner of my eye, I notice movement. Daniel, Madison's fiancé, has paused mid-conversation with his groomsmen, his attention caught by our group. His brow furrows slightly as he watches the interaction unfold. "Natalie." Dad's voice carries across the marble as he approaches, sensing tension but clearly unaware of its source. He's always been like this, arriving after the emotional damage is done, puzzled by the aftermath. Across the room, I catch the eye of our cousin Rebecca, 15 years older and the family truth teller. She gives me a subtle nod of understanding. I'm not imagining this. I'm not overreacting. A camera shutter clicks nearby, the wedding photographer capturing candid pre-ceremony moments, unaware she's documenting something far more revealing than champagne toasts. Just accept your seat and don't make a scene. Madison hisses, voice low enough that only I can hear. The mask has slipped completely now, revealing the calculation beneath. Mom leans in from the other side. Your father and I are very disappointed in how you're behaving. Family dynamics can be so revealing, can't they? Denise adds, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. Her smug satisfaction reminds me of cats I've seen toying with wounded birds. The wedding coordinator hovers at the edge of our group, anxiously checking her watch. The ceremony is scheduled to begin in 30 minutes, and this confrontation wasn't on her timeline. I take a deep breath, feeling something settle inside me. Not anger exactly, but clarity. I came here hoping to celebrate my sister, I say, voice steady despite the tears I feel welling. Now I'm just hoping to understand when I became less than family. I blink the tears back, refusing to let them fall. Madison shifts her weight, suddenly looking less sure of herself. My words hang in the air, resonating with a truth that makes her uncomfortable. Daniel steps closer to Madison now, his expression questioning. He places a hand on her silk-covered elbow, a gesture that's both support and inquiry. Is everything okay? He asks, though his eyes suggest he already knows the answer is no. Then I remember the text evidence I wasn't planning to use today. Last month, Madison had called me after a particularly stressful meeting with Denise about the wedding. Madison, I say, watching her face carefully. Remember our conversation last month about Denise? I believe your exact words were, Madison's eyes widen, all color draining from her face. She knows exactly what she said, a 15-minute rant about Denise's controlling nature, her inappropriate comments about Daniel's career choices, and her determination to make the wedding a showcase for her country club friends rather than a celebration of the couple. In this moment, I have a choice. I can repeat those words and watch the carefully constructed facade crumble. Or I can walk away with my dignity intact but my truth unspoken. The champagne in Mom's glass trembles slightly. Dad steps closer, confusion evident on his face. Daniel's attention is fully on us now, his gaze moving between Madison's suddenly panicked expression and my composed one. Denise narrows her eyes, sensing a shift in power she doesn't understand. I make my decision, straightening my spine as years of accommodating everyone else's comfort at the expense of my own falls away. Sometimes, truth is the kindest form of revenge. Madison, I think Denise would be very interested to hear what you told me about her wedding takeover. My voice is calm but carries just enough to ensure Denise catches every word, especially the part about her speech. Mother's fingers dig into my forearm as she pulls me behind a massive floral arrangement. Her pearls gleam under the chandelier light, a stark contrast to the fury darkening her face. You will apologize to your sister and take your assigned seat, she hisses, voice tight with controlled anger. The familiar tone one I've heard all my life, when I've dared step out of my designated role. Madison has been planning this day since she was 16, and I won't allow you to create a spectacle. Over Mother's shoulder, I catch Denise gathering Blake's aunts around her like a general assembling troops. She points in my direction with subtle precision, her perfectly coiffed silver hair catching the light as she leans in to whisper something that makes the women glance my way with practiced concern. Meanwhile, Madison has positioned herself perfectly within view of the most guests, dabbing at the corner of her eye with a monogrammed handkerchief. No actual tears fall, she's too careful for that, but the performance is enough. The controlled distress of a bride whose special day is being threatened. 15 minutes until the ceremony begins, the wedding coordinator announces, her voice carrying across the foyer with professional brightness that doesn't match her worried expression. I take a deep breath and find my voice come steadier than expected. I don't believe I'm the one who should apologize. Mother's eyes widen just slightly at my response. In 30 years, she's rarely heard this tone from me. The peacemaker, the one who steps aside, the one who accommodates. A flash of memory. My apartment moved to Oregon 3 years ago. Boxes stacked in my small rental car because no one offered to help. My phone call that night to share I'd arrived safely met with distracted responses, and Madison interrupting to discuss her promotion. Another memory surfaces. The state teaching award I received last spring. The ceremony I attended alone, watching other recipients celebrate with proud families. The congratulatory text I sent to the family group chat that received thumbed-up reactions but no actual responses. The quiet dinner I made myself that night, opening a bottle of wine to toast my own accomplishment. This isn't appropriate, Mother continues, lowering her voice as a couple passes. People are watching, Natalie. They certainly are, I agree, feeling a strange calm settle over me, and they're seeing exactly what this family is. I straighten my shoulders, a physical manifestation of the internal shift I feel, the strength that comes from building a life without their approval, a quiet confidence I've never fully claimed until now. Mother's face tightens. Your father and I are very disappointed. In me, I finish for her, for expecting to be treated as family, or in Madison for deliberately excluding me. Before she can answer, I step away and walk with deliberate steps back toward where Madison stands with Denise. I choose my moment carefully when other guests are nearby, when retreating would make more of a scene than continuing. Denise, I say with a warm smile that doesn't quite reach my eyes. Madison was just saying the other day how stressed she was about seating arrangements. Madison freezes, champagne flute halfway to her lips. Denise's eyebrows lift slightly with interest. Oh? Denise tilts her head, the large diamond earrings catching the light. She seemed quite certain about everything when we reviewed the charts. I nod sympathetically. Planning is such a challenge, especially with so many important people to consider. The careful delivery maintains plausible deniability could be attempting to smooth things over, or I could be setting something in motion. The beauty lies in the balance. From the corner of my eye, I see Daniel approaching, concern etched across his features as he notices his bride's distress. My father finally appears as well, confusion evident in the furrow of his brow as he senses the undercurrent of tension. Across the room, Mrs. Thompson, me grandmother's oldest friend, catches my eye and offers a subtle nod. I'd helped her daughter find a teaching position last year. The wedding photographer moves unobtrusively around us, capturing candid moments that will tell a story beyond the posed portraits. She was particularly worried, I continue, voice gentle but carrying just enough, about certain people making speeches and turning the whole reception into being about themselves. Denise's expression shifts like storm clouds gathering. The smugness that had played at the corners of her mouth vanishes, replaced by something sharper, more suspicious. What exactly do you mean by that? She asks, her voice dropping an octave. Madison steps forward, fingers clenching her champagne flute. Natalie, this isn't the time. Madison. Daniel interrupts, his voice carrying that particular note men use when they've just realized something important. Did you really say that? The air between us changes. Madison's panic is palpable, a living thing that colors her cheeks and widens her eyes. I feel something shift inside me, physical, almost, like straightening after carrying a heavy load for miles. The weight of years of dismissal lifting from my shoulders, allowing me to stand at my full height. For the first time in 30 years, I'm not invisible anymore. In the moment of chaos that follows Madison stumbling through denials, Denise's narrowing gaze, Daniel's confusion deepening, I notice the wedding gift table near the entrance. My present sits there, wrapped in silver paper I spent an hour selecting, with a card containing words of forgiveness and love I'd written even after learning about the seating chart. Without hurry, I move toward the champagne table and select a glass with unhurried confidence. The cool stem between my fingers grounds me in the moment. I take a small sip, watching the scene unfold with a clarity I've never experienced before. Denise turns to Madison, her voice cutting through the murmurs of nearby guests. Is this why you tried to change my speech 3 times? She demands, no longer bothering with discretion. What exactly were you afraid I would say? Madison's desperate denial crumbles under pressure. It wasn't like that, I just thought with so many speeches already. I sip my champagne, watching the scene unfold with a strange sense of detachment, mixed with satisfaction. Some revenge is best served not cold, but with perfect timing. Have you ever witnessed someone who always got their way finally face consequences? What was that moment like? The truth revealing itself doesn't require my narration. It simply needs the right moment to emerge. I position myself carefully behind a large floral arrangement, close enough to hear Madison and Denise, but not so obvious that they notice me immediately. The string quartet has shifted to Vivaldi, providing just enough background noise to mask my presence while still allowing me to catch every heated word. "What else have you been saying about me?" Denise demands, her perfectly coiffed silver hair remaining immobile despite her agitation. Her diamond tennis bracelet catches the light as she gestures emphatically. "First my speech, now this?" Madison's eyes dart nervously around the gathering crowd. "Please, Denise, we can discuss this later." "Later?" Denise's voice rises, drawing the attention of nearby guests. "After I've made a fool of myself with that speech you approved, the one you secretly told your bridesmaids was trying too hard to be sentimental." I take a measured sip of champagne, allowing the dry bubbles to dance on my tongue. There's a strange calm settling over me as I watch 29 years of Madison's carefully constructed image begin to unravel. All it took was one truthful comment, planted at precisely the right moment. Mother swoops in, her lavender mother of the bride dress rustling as she positions herself between Madison and Denise. "Denise, you know how brides get before the ceremony. Madison adores you." The lie hangs in the air, as transparent as the crystal flutes in our hands. 2 weeks ago, Madison had texted me a 3-paragraph rant about how Denise was hijacking her wedding with outdated opinions and embarrassing stories. I noticed Daniel watching from near the ballroom entrance, his groomsmen shifting uncomfortably behind him. His gaze moves from Madison to me, then back again. Understanding dawns in his eyes, not anger, but recognition. I wonder how many times Madison has shown him one face, while revealing another elsewhere. "She's doing this on purpose to ruin my wedding." Madison suddenly points directly at me, mascara already beginning to smudge beneath her right eye. Her bridal robe slips off one shoulder as she gestures wildly. "She's jealous. She's always been jealous." Denise scoffs, the sound sharp as a blade. "Don't blame your sister for your own words, Madison." Guests are no longer pretending not to notice. Aunt Catherine from Michigan whispers to Uncle Paul. Cousin Bethany, who always idolized Madison, stands with her mouth slightly open. The murmurs spread like ripples in still water, the family narrative shifting before my eyes. The golden child's shine dulling with each passing second. Dad finally approaches, confusion evident in the deep creases of his forehead. What exactly is going on here? His voice carries the authority it always has, but for once, it's not directed at me. Daniel steps forward, taking Madison's elbow. "We need to talk. Now." His voice is quiet but firm as he guides her toward a side room. Madison throws one last desperate glance at our mother, who seems frozen in place. To my surprise, Dad moves to stand beside me. His cologne, the same old spice he's worn since I was a child, brings an unexpected lump to my throat. For the first time in memory, he isn't rushing to Madison's defense. Instead, his weathered hand rests lightly on my shoulder, a gesture so simple yet so profound, I almost lose my carefully maintained composure. "I always thought that seating arrangement was strange," comes a voice beside me. Aunt Judith, Dad's older sister, has appeared at my side. Her weathered hand pats my arm. "Your grandmother would have never stood for it. That woman knew family comes first, real family, not this performance." She gestures toward Madison with a subtle tilt of her head. 2 of my cousins drift closer, offering small nods of acknowledgement. Ryan's wife, Lisa, whispers, "Are you okay?" The support feels foreign after years of standing alone. The wedding coordinator approaches Madison's mother, clipboard clutched to her chest like armor. "Mrs. Carson, we're 30 minutes behind schedule." The officiant is asking about proceeding. Her words fade as Denise turns to her husband and son. "We need to have a discussion before this ceremony proceeds." Her tone leaves no room for argument. "Everything is fine." Madison's voice rises to a pitch I haven't heard since she was denied the lead in her high school musical. "We just need to start the ceremony." Daniel's response cuts through the chaos. "Not until we sort this out." 4 simple words that hold the weight of a future being reconsidered. I finish my champagne, savoring the last drop as I watch Mother's carefully constructed facade crumble. Her hands flutter uselessly at her sides, her practiced society smile replaced by naked panic. She sinks into a nearby chair, the elegant lines of her expensive dress now bunched unceremoniously. The woman who orchestrated every family gathering with precision can't control this unraveling moment. Madison's mascara has created delicate black rivers down her cheeks as she becomes increasingly frantic. She turns from person to person, first her bridesmaids, then Daniel, then back to Denise as if searching for someone who might still be under her spell. Her maid of honor stands awkwardly to the side, no longer sure of her role in this altered script. Across the room, Denise confers intensely with her husband, pointing emphatically toward Madison. Mr. Phillips, gray-haired and distinguished, nods gravely. Denise's brother joins them, leaning in to catch every word. The Phillips family has formed its own tight circle of whispered consultation. The wedding party has splintered before my eyes. Half of the bridesmaids hover near Madison, their matching pink robes clustered like cherry blossoms. Two others have drifted toward the outer edges of the room, exchanging meaningful glances. Daniel's groomsmen stand in an uncertain cluster, loyalty to their friend visibly wrestling with the awkwardness of the situation. One checks his watch, another loosens his tie. With unhurried steps, I make my way toward the gift table, where my carefully wrapped present sits among the others. The heavy cream envelope bearing my handwriting rests against the silver paper, containing the heartfelt letter I wrote before I knew the truth. "Are you leaving?" The wedding coordinator appears beside me, her professional mask slipping to reveal genuine concern. I offer her a small smile. "I'm just making one small adjustment." My hand reaches for my carefully wrapped present, the antique first edition of poetry I'd spent months hunting down because Madison once mentioned liking the author. Inside, my inscription wishes for a marriage built on honesty and mutual respect. How ironic those words seem now. Madison breaks away from Daniel, her perfectly manicured hand slipping from his arm as she hurries toward me. Tears glisten in her eyes, not the messy, genuine kind, but the calculated tears that have worked on our parents for 27 years. "Please, Nat," she says, voice quivering just enough. "This is my wedding day. Can't you just sit where we planned?" Mother appears at her side, a united front as always. Her expression is hardened from embarrassment to anger. "Natalie Carson, don't you dare ruin your sister's special day." Across the marble foyer, Denise stands with her arms crossed, no longer bothering to hide behind social niceties. The truth about Madison's text messages has stripped away that veneer. She watches our exchange with the sharp attention of someone tallying points in a game. "Either take your seat in the hallway," Madison whispers, "or everyone will know you're the villain who ruined my wedding." The string quartet has shifted to a more urgent melody, a subtle reminder that time is passing. Dad approaches, his face creased with concern rather than understanding. "Let's all calm down and proceed with the ceremony," he says, patting the air with his hands as if he could physically press down the tension rising between us. People are being seated. We're on a schedule. Behind him, guests filter into the ballroom, some casting curious glances our way. The wedding coordinator taps her clipboard nervously, checking her watch for the third time in as many minutes. Madison leans in, her expression hidden from the others. "I'll never forgive you if you ruin this for me," she hisses, breath warm against my ear. "Never." 29 years of these moments flash through my mind, the subtle threats, the emotional manipulation, the way our family always coalesces around Madison's desires. But something has fundamentally shifted inside me. The familiar weight of accommodation feels unbearable now. "Miss," the wedding coordinator interrupts, "we really need everyone seated now. We're already 20 minutes behind schedule." I straighten my spine and feel my voice emerge, calm and clear enough to carry. "I came here as family, Madison." The foyer quiets at my tone, which isn't loud but carries an unfamiliar authority. "But according to you," I continue, holding my sister's gaze steadily, "I'm not really immediate family anymore." I pause, feeling the weight of every eye on us, the suspended breath of the moment. "So, I should respect your wishes." Rather than moving toward the hallway table, I turn toward the gift table. My fingers find the package I placed there earlier, cream paper with a blue ribbon, containing the antique silver frame I spent months hunting down to hold Madison's wedding portrait. "Miss, please," the coordinator says, nearly jogging toward me. "We really need everyone seated right now." I lift my gift from the table, cradling it in both hands. Madison gasps, her perfect makeup finally cracking with genuine emotion. "Are you seriously taking your gift back? Why would I give a gift to a family that doesn't consider me part of it?" My voice remains even, almost gentle. From nearby comes an unexpected sound, Denise's audible snort of approval. Our eyes meet briefly across the foyer. I turn to face Denise directly. "Madison has quite a collection of text messages about you." The words land precisely where intended. Denise's eyebrows rise as she looks sharply at Madison. I shift my attention to Daniel, who stands frozen midway between his fiancée and his mother, and about her expectations for your marriage. His expression transitions from confusion to dawning realization. To my parents, who stand utterly still, and about how family obligations are just for show. I don't reveal everything, just enough to confirm there's more. The beauty of truth is that it needs no embellishment. Madison's face has drained of color, leaving her blush too bright against suddenly pale skin. Her hands flutter uselessly at her sides. I take a step toward the exit, then pause. These will be my last words to them for some time, and they deserve careful selection. "I hope your special day shows you exactly who you are," I tell Madison, meeting her eyes with newfound clarity. To Mother, whose rigid composure has finally begun to crack. "And I hope someday you realize what you've lost." Dad meets my gaze, and for once, I don't look away first. Silence in the face of cruelty is its own kind of betrayal. Then I turn, gift in hand, and walk toward the exit. My heels click distinctly against the marble floors, each step more confident than the last. The navy dress I saved for months to buy suddenly feels exactly right, the color of the deep water I'm navigating toward freedom. Behind me, the carefully orchestrated wedding dissolves into chaos. "I think we need to have a serious conversation before this proceeds," Denise announces to Daniel, her voice carrying. "Everything is fine." Madison's voice rises to a pitch I've never heard before, desperation cracking through her perfect facade. "We just need to start the ceremony." From the corner of my eye, I see Mother collapse into a nearby chair, her hand pressed against her mouth. Dad stands motionless, watching me leave with an expression I can't quite interpret, perhaps the first stirrings of understanding. The heavy glass doors swing open at my approach, and I step out into the late afternoon sunlight. The air feels different, somehow cleaner, lighter. As the doors close behind me, muffling the sound of raised voices, my phone buzzes in my purse. I pause on the steps, shifting my gift to one arm as I retrieve my phone. A text message from Daniel appears on the screen. "I had no idea. Can we talk?" I slip the phone back into my purse without responding. Some conversations belong to tomorrow. Today belongs to me. When you finally stand up to family mistreatment, it often affects more than just you. The ripples move outward, touching every relationship, revealing truths that can no longer be ignored. Autumn sunlight streams through my classroom windows, casting a warm glow across desks arranged in a careful semicircle. I smooth a fresh welcome back banner above my whiteboard, the fabric soft beneath my fingers. A month has passed since Madison's wedding, or rather, since the wedding that never happened. I step back to survey my domain. Classics line the shelves: Austen, Baldwin, Morrison interspersed with young adult novels my students actually want to read. Potted plants bring life to each corner. Yellow sticky notes with inspirational quotes dot the walls, ready to catch teenage eyes during moments of wandering attention. "Miss Carson?" I turn to find Principal Hoffman at the doorway, phone in hand. "Call for you in the office. Says it's important." I check my grandmother's watch, the one physical reminder I keep of the woman who saw me when no one else did. Still an hour before students arrive. "Thanks, I'll take it." Walking the empty hallway, my footsteps echo differently now. There's a lightness I hadn't noticed before, as if I've set down a heavy suitcase I'd been carrying so long, I'd forgotten it wasn't part of me. Natalie, your seat is here. Dad stands in the doorway of his house, gray hair neatly combed, eyes holding a question. Behind him, the dining room table gleams with the good china reserved for special occasions. His 70th birthday. I hesitate on the threshold, the memory of another seating arrangement still raw despite the weeks between then and now. Right next to mine, he adds, voice gentle, I saved it for you. I follow him inside, past framed family photos where I always stood slightly apart, into the familiar dining room now transformed by my new perspective. The table is set for 8, not the usual 20 plus of full family gatherings. No Madison, no mom hovering anxiously nearby. My place setting sits at Dad's right hand, my name written in Mom's careful calligraphy on a crisp place card. I should have spoken up years ago. Dad and I stand on the back porch after dessert, watching darkness settle over the yard where we once built a treehouse together. Just the two of us, while Mom took Madison shopping for dance recital costumes. You were always so capable, Natalie, so self-sufficient. His weathered hands gripped the porch railing. I told myself you didn't need the attention they did. That was wrong. I sip coffee gone lukewarm, tasting the bitterness and finding it doesn't hurt like it once would. What happened after I left? Everything fell apart. He turns to face me fully. Daniel postponed the wedding indefinitely. Said he needed time to think. Your mother blames everyone but herself. Madison refuses to attend any gathering where you might be present. And you? I ask. I'm learning to see what was always there. To Natalie Carson, who finally stopped setting herself on fire to keep others warm. Emma raises her glass, my other friends joining the toast. Our monthly dinner has become a lifeline of laughter and understanding. Tonight, I finally told them everything. I still can't believe you kept all those texts, Sophia says, refilling my wine. Strategic genius. Not genius, just self-preservation. I smile, memories of Madison's frantic face fading a little more each day. My therapist calls it evidence gathering. Apparently, I've been doing it for years without realizing. Speaking of evidence, James says, his hand finding mine under the table, I've been gathering some myself. Evidence that you're remarkable, Natalie Carson. His thumb traces circles on my palm, and I don't pull away. The envelope arrives on a Tuesday. Heavy cream stationery, my name in unfamiliar handwriting. Inside, an invitation to Madison and Daniel's rescheduled wedding, 3 months from now. A handwritten note falls into my lap. Natalie, this comes with Madison's reluctant permission, but my full intention. I've learned much about family these past weeks, about patterns that persist until someone finds the courage to break them. Your sister isn't ready to acknowledge her part. Perhaps she never will be. Whatever you decide, know that I respect the boundaries you've drawn. Daniel. I placed the invitation on my kitchen table, next to the birthday card my father sent last week. Not rushing, I consider what response honors both my his future. The gift I select is a beautiful serving platter. The card reads, some bridges shouldn't be rebuilt, but that doesn't mean you carry the ashes. I don't check the box for attending. To family, both the ones we're born with and the ones we choose. I raise my glass at the head of my dining table, Thanksgiving candles flickering across faces that reflect genuine warmth. My father sits opposite me, still learning to navigate holidays without Mom, who chose to spend the day with Madison. James stands beside me, steady and present. The empty chair between my father and my closest friend isn't an oversight. It's a reminder that some relationships remain works in progress, doors neither flung open nor permanently locked. Around us, conversation flows without the undercurrent of tension I once mistook for normal. No one here needs to raise their voice to be heard. No one disappears into the background. For the first time in my life, I'm hosting Thanksgiving, and every person at this table sees me completely. I stand beneath strings of twinkling lights in our restored barn, my wedding dress simple but adorned with local wildflowers that match the centerpieces on each rough-hewn table. The contrast between the celebration I imagined and the reality unfolding before me twists something deep in my chest. My new husband Micah squeezes my hand, his quiet confidence a steady anchor as my family shifts uncomfortably on hay bales, covered with cream-colored quilts. Mother runs her finger along the edge of the farm-to-table appetizer plate, her lips pursed as if sampling something slightly sour. Father checks his watch for the third time in 15 minutes. Only the local farmers and our true friends seem genuinely delighted by the strings of wildflowers, mason jar candles, and the weathered barnwood that tells stories of a century of harvests. The sharp ring of silver against glass cuts through the murmur of conversation. My sister Celeste stands, champagne flute raised, her designer dress probably worth more than our entire reception budget. My stomach tightens as her perfect smile doesn't quite reach her eyes. "To my little sister," she announces, voice carrying across the suddenly quiet barn, who chose mud over Manhattan. A nervous titter ripples through the guests. Micah's hand tightens around mine. "Mayor?" Celeste pauses meaningfully. "Simpler life bring you the contentment that success brings the rest of us." The words land like slaps. Father chuckles, nodding in agreement while Mother arranges her face into what she considers an appropriate wedding smile. Only Harper, my younger sister, watches with a flat, observant expression that misses nothing. Father stands next, champagne sloshing dangerously close to the rim of his glass. To Marley and her. Unique choices. While not the path we envisioned for our daughter, we've learned to accept that she marches to her own drummer. Heat crawls up my neck as whispers ripple through the crowd. Micah's MIT agricultural engineering degree and my master's from Northwestern apparently count for nothing when paired with calloused hands and soil under our fingernails. Something shifts inside me. 5 years of their disapproval crystallizes into a resolve hard as January ground. I rise slowly to my feet, surprised when the barn falls completely silent. "Thank you for those words," I say, my voice steadier than I feel. "Here's to finding out who really stands by you when there's nothing flashy to prove." I see Celeste's smile falter for just a second. Micah stands beside me, his presence solid as an oak. 6 months ago, I walked away from my promising environmental policy position in Chicago. The memory of that family dinner floods back Mother's wine glass, freezing halfway to her lips when I announced my decision to co-run an organic farm with Micah. "It's just a phase," Father had dismissed, not even looking up from cutting his steak. Celeste's laughter still rings in my ears. "Playing farmer until you come to your senses?" Only Harper had asked questions about our actual plans. The divide in our family stands in sharp relief tonight. Celeste with her MBA and investment advisor husband Damien hover near my parents, champagne glasses never empty. They measure worth through stock portfolios and zip codes. Harper moves between groups, caught in the middle but offering me small smiles of support when our eyes meet. I watch the successful family members cluster together, speaking in low voices while glancing at what they call the dirt farmers, Micah's college friends who now run sustainable agricultural projects across 3 states. When the band begins our first dance, Micah pulls me close. His flannel suit feels more right against my skin than any designer tuxedo ever could. "They'll never understand until we show them," I whisper against his shoulder. "With actions, not words," he agrees, his voice low enough for only me to hear. His eyes, intelligent and steady, meet mine. "Let's see who's still standing in 5 years." I lean into him, drawing strength from the hands that can both calibrate precision irrigation systems and tenderly transplant seedlings. The genuine joy of our farmer friends contrasts sharply with my family's tight smiles and performative politeness. As we prepare to leave, traditional rice is replaced with a shower of wildflower seeds. My family stands back, unwilling to participate in something so unconventional. But our true friends surround us, tossing the seeds that will bloom next spring into something beautiful and sustaining. Just like us. 6 months later, the gravel crunches beneath our truck tires as we pull into Celeste and Damien's vacation estate. Their sprawling Vermont property gleams in the July sunshine, pristine landscaping, stone pathways, and a mansion that could swallow our farmhouse whole. I smooth my simple linen dress, suddenly conscious of my calloused hands against the fabric. "Ready?" Micah asks, squeezing my fingers. I nod, drawing strength from his steady presence. As ready as facing the firing squad can be. We step from our mud-spattered truck, the peeling logo of Quinlan Organic Farms contrasting sharply with the line of luxury vehicles. Celeste's children, Madison and Tyler, race past without acknowledgement, absorbed in their tablets. The latest models, no doubt. The farmers have arrived. Damien bellows from the expansive patio, raising his glass toward us. His voice carries across the manicured lawn where clusters of guests in summer finery sip champagne. Still playing in the dirt, Micah? Another year closer to bankruptcy? Several guests chuckle. My spine stiffens, but Micah only smiles, unruffled. The dirt's treating us just fine, he replies, his MIT degree and engineering patents invisible beneath his simple button-down shirt and worn jeans. Celeste glides over, her sundress likely costing more than our monthly mortgage. Marley, darling, how charming you look. Her eyes flick dismissively over my handmade jewelry. Very rustic. Thanks, I answer simply, refusing to apologize for who we are. Mother appears, champagne flute balanced delicately between manicured fingers. She air kisses my cheek, then immediately turns to another guest. You simply must see Celeste's new infinity pool, imported Italian tile. Her voice fades as she leads them away without asking a single question about our life. At dinner, Father raises his glass. To Celeste and Damien for hosting us in this magnificent home. When are you two joining the real world? He nods toward us, smile not reaching his eyes. The question hangs in the air like summer humidity. Conversations pause. Actually, I say, voice steadier than I feel, we've been profitable for 2 consecutive years now. Silverware stills against China. We're supplying 12 upscale restaurants in Des Moines and Cedar Rapids, Micah adds. Our custom irrigation system cut costs by 30% this season. A brief silence falls over the table. Something flickers across Damien's face. Surprise? Concern? Speaking of restaurants, he says too loudly, did anyone try that new French place downtown? And just like that, our success evaporates from the conversation like morning dew. Later, near the rose garden, Harper pulls me aside. Her voice drops to a whisper. Something's wrong with Damien's firm. They've canceled 3 family vacations and Celeste hasn't mentioned a promotion in months. I frown. That doesn't sound like Celeste. I know. And last week, I overheard Dad and Damien arguing about guarantees and recovery. It sounded serious. Before I can respond, Harper continues. There's more. Remember that restaurant chain that suddenly backed out of your supply contract? Damien discouraged them. Told them your farm was unreliable. My stomach twists. How do you know? I ran into the owner at a fundraiser. He mentioned it, thought I knew. Anger flares hot in my chest. They've been actively working against us? Look, Harper points discreetly. Across the lawn, Celeste stands near our truck, phone raised, photographing our farm logo. My phone buzzes a text from Chef Laurent. Need to double your heirloom tomato order next week. Best I've found. Harper slips a business card into my hand. My friend Marcus, financial advisor. You might need this. I tuck it into my pocket, questions forming. The patio doors swing open as a man carrying a dessert tray steps out. Chef Antoine from one of Burlington's finest restaurants. Marley, he calls. The woman behind those magnificent strawberries. Everyone, you must try her produce. Life-changing. Heads turn. Celeste's smile freezes. Micah watches quietly from beside the fire pit, a slight curve to his lips as he observes the shifting dynamics. During dessert, I clear my throat. We have some news. Midwest Farming Today is featuring our irrigation system next month. Mother blinks, interest flickering across her face for the first time. A magazine? What sort of circulation does it have? About 200,000 readers, Micah answers. Plus, we've been selected for a USDA research program. Celeste offers congratulations while checking her phone nervously. Conversations shift, guests asking questions about our farm with genuine curiosity. Damien's jaw tightens as he watches his usual audience drift toward us. As twilight falls over the estate, I notice the subtle shift, guests lingering near us instead of Celeste, asking about sustainable farming rather than stock portfolios. Mother actually asks about our crop rotation. Father mentions our farm to his golf partner with something approaching pride. The dirt farmers are suddenly worth listening to. On the drive home, stars bright above the winding Vermont roads, Micah reaches for my hand. They still don't see us, I say quietly. No, he agrees, but others are beginning to. I watch the darkness between the trees, wondering what else my family might be hiding and what they might do when they discover what we've been concealing all along. 3 years after ups and downs, Mother's voice on the phone carries that artificial brightness that always signals trouble. Just a little family business matter, dear. Tomorrow at 2? The way she says it leaves no room for refusal. Micah and I exchange glances across the kitchen table. 3 years into our marriage, he reads my family's patterns as clearly as I do. We'll be there, I tell her, already feeling the familiar tightness in my shoulders. The next afternoon, we pull into my parents' circular driveway behind Celeste's gleaming Audi. Harper's modest sedan sits almost apologetically beside it. The sight of all 3 siblings summoned at once sends a cold ripple down my spine. Whatever this is, we face it together, Micah says, his hand warm against mine. Inside, the living room has been transformed into something resembling a corporate boardroom. The coffee table sports neat stacks of documents. Father sits at the head, his normally domineering posture diminished. Mother flutters around, offering coffee with the desperate cheer of someone avoiding collapse. Celeste sits straight-backed beside Damien, who wears his investment advisor expression serious with a manufactured undercurrent of compassion. Only Harper looks genuinely uncomfortable, perched on the edge of her chair like she might bolt. So glad you could join us, Father says without rising. The words lack their usual condescension. Something is very wrong. Damien clears his throat, adjusting his tie. We've called this meeting to discuss some family financial restructuring. He slides a folder forward with manicured fingers. Unfortunately, several key investments have experienced temporary liquidity issues. Mother sinks into the sofa, dabbing at the corner of her eye. We might lose the lake house, she whispers. I notice Celeste's designer purse partially tucked beneath her chair, but the diamond on her left hand is conspicuously absent. Her knuckles whiten as she folds her hands in her lap. What exactly does this have to do with us? Micah asks, his voice calm but direct. Father's face tightens. We need to consolidate family assets. Damien pulls out a property assessment with our farm address emblazoned across the top. We've had your land valued at $380,000. He slides the paper toward us like he's offering a generous gift. The paperwork is ready to sign. Celeste leans forward. This is about family, supporting family, Marley. Her practiced speech sounds rehearsed in front of a mirror. When one of us struggles, we all pitch in. What happened to your investments? Micah asks, not touching the document. Father and Damien exchange glances. Market volatility. Damien offers vaguely. Specifically? Micah presses. If you must know, Father says with sudden sharpness, our retirement portfolio was leveraged in a short position against an agricultural technology company that unexpectedly soared. The irony lands with a dull thud in my stomach. They lost money betting against the very industry that supports our livelihood. We need an answer today, Damien adds, tapping his watch. The buyers won't wait. I feel something shift inside me, the same crystallization I felt at our wedding when they humiliated us with their toasts. Looking at their expectant faces, I see the truth. They never expected refusal. In their minds, my farm has always been disposable, a hobby to be abandoned when real life called. We'll need 48 hours to consider our options, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. 5 faces register various stages of shock. Damien's mouth actually drops open. 48 hours? Father repeats like I've suggested something outrageous. Your mother hasn't slept in weeks over this. Mother nods on cue, pressing a tissue to her mouth. 2 days, Micah confirms, standing. We'll call you when we've decided. The drive home passes in tense silence. The moment we pull into our driveway, the phone rings. Our neighbor Frank's voice crackles through the line. Heard some city folks asking about your acreage. Everything okay over there? Before I can respond, another call beeps through. Teresa from the Agricultural Extension Office, just checking in, after hearing rumors. Then Chef Anthony from Harvest Table Restaurant calls to confirm we're still supplying his kitchen next season. The contrast hits me like cold water. My blood family expects us to surrender our dream at their convenience, while the community we've built rallies at the first hint of trouble. After dinner, Micah takes my hand. There's something I need to show you. He leads me to the small office at the back of our barn. From the bottom drawer of the filing cabinet I've never seen opened, he removes a key and unlocks a hidden compartment beneath. I've been waiting for the right moment, he says, pulling out a leather portfolio. Inside, I find his MIT diplomas, not copies, but the originals, carefully preserved. Beneath them lie patent certificates, dozens of them, bearing his name. I don't understand, I whisper. I wanted to see how they'd treat us when they thought we had nothing, he says quietly. He opens a sleek laptop I've never seen and enters a complex password. The screen fills with the logo for Verdant Edge Solutions. You founded this? My hands tremble as I scroll through pages of financial reports. 5 years ago. Current valuation, $46 million. We have 28 active patents for precision irrigation systems and soil analytics software being used across 9 states. His voice remains even, but his eyes watch me carefully. Last month, we received a USDA grant for $3 million to test drought-resistant crops. Tears fill my eyes as understanding dawns. You knew they'd never see our worth unless we proved it with money? Micah takes my hands, calluses against calluses. I grew up poor, Marley. I know how people like your family think. Worth is measured in dollars, not character. Pain flickers across his face. I wanted to be sure who they really were before revealing what we've built. The tears spill over, not from sadness, but from the stunning clarity of this moment. What do we do now? I ask. We stand our ground, together. His certainty steadies me. We work late into the night. Micah calls Leonard, our attorney, while I organize documentation of every loan we've repaid to my parents, always with interest, always on time. We prepare federal protection paperwork for our research fields. With each document, my wavering resolve hardens, especially after finding evidence of Damien's calls to our restaurant clients, subtly questioning our reliability. Just before midnight, my phone buzzes with Celeste's number. We're coming 2 days later with the buyers, she announces without preamble. Be ready to sign by noon. After I hang up, Micah and I exchange looks across the table covered with papers documenting both our legitimacy and my family's betrayal. Let's prepare the barn for visitors, he says with quiet determination. Leonard arrives early the next morning, reviewing our strategy one final time. His confidence in our position gives me strength. Sometimes silence isn't surrender, he reminds us. It's preparation for the perfect moment. I watch the sunlight spread across our fields, the morning dew catching fire. For 3 years they mocked what we built. Tomorrow, they'll understand exactly what they asked us to sell. 2 days later, the gravel crunches under tires as Celeste's luxury SUV leads 3 other vehicles up our farm driveway. I stand in the barn doorway, watching them approach through morning fog that clings to our fields. My hands, usually dirt-stained, are clean beneath crisp shirt cuffs. Beside me, Micah adjusts his Tiaraire sight that still makes my heart skip. They're bringing reinforcements, I murmur as my parents emerge from the second car, followed by Harper. A teenage girl climbs from Celeste's vehicle, my niece Tiffany, whom I've barely seen in 2 years. Behind them, 2 professionally dressed strangers carry portfolios. One holds a notary stamp. Right on schedule, Leonard says from behind us, his silver hair catching sunlight as he arranges papers on the conference table we've positioned where hay bales usually sit. The polished wood surface looks starkly out of place against weathered barn boards. Damien strides toward us, confidence etched in every step. His smile falters briefly when he spots Leonard. "Morning, Marley," he says, eyes darting to our formal attire, the conference table, the distinguished man now standing beside us. We brought the paperwork to make this as painless as possible. Micah extends his hand. Coffee? Might be good before we discuss Verdant Edge matters. A flicker of confusion crosses Damien's face. My mother approaches, embracing me stiffly while whispering, "Please don't make this difficult, sweetheart." They settle at the table, Damien producing a folder of pre-filled contracts. Post-dated checks peek from between the pages, insultingly small amounts stretched over 5 years. "Let's be quick about this," Father says, glancing at his watch. "The buyers have another property to view this afternoon." Celeste guides Tiffany forward. "Remember how close you two were when she was little? Her college fund is what's at stake, Marley." My mother dabs at invisible tears. 40 years of marriage and we might lose everything. The house where you grew up. Father leans forward, voice dropping. "This is what family does, Marley. We support each other when times get tough." The barn door swings open, revealing a woman in a USDA jacket who nods at Micah. Just dropping by to check those test field markers, she announces, lingering by the table. Leonard clears his throat, methodically arranging documents before each family member. Harper, who hasn't spoken, slides her chair closer to mine. My mother's eyebrows lift in surprise. A local banker appears in the doorway. "Morning, folks. Just dropping off those loan approval documents you requested, Micah." Leonard stands, smoothing his tie. "This land belongs to Verdant Edge Solutions, incorporated 3 years ago." He slides across documentation showing every parental loan repaid within 18 months of our wedding. Federal research protection makes forced sale impossible under agricultural preservation statutes. Micah speaks quietly. "I founded Verdant Edge before we married. I serve as CEO." Damien's face drains of color as Leonard pushes forward another document. "The agricultural company you shorted last quarter? Verdant Edge Solutions." Each word falls like stone on marble. "Current valuation, $46 million. Damien tugs his collar, Adam's apple bobbing. There must be some mistake. My mother collapses into her chair, turning to father with dawning suspicion. Celeste's perfect composure cracks around the edges, her fingers trembling as she reaches for water. "Did Uncle Damien lose my college money?" Tiffany asks, voice slicing through uncomfortable silence. I stand, feeling taller than I have in decades of family gatherings. We have records of every dismissive comment, every sabotaged business connection. The words flow without anger, just clarity. Every time you called us dirt farmers while Damien was actively undermining our reputation with restaurant clients. Micah places their most recent tax filing on the table. "We became profitable while you were still mocking our hobby farm at Christmas dinner." Harper breaks her silence. "I've known something was wrong for months. The numbers never added up." Leonard gestures to the USDA officer. "The test fields here are part of a $3 million drought-resistant crop program. The government takes interference with research projects quite seriously." Damien's tie hangs loose around his neck now. Father's face reddens with each revelation. Only Celeste still attempts composure, though her eyes dart between her husband and her crumbling parents. I meet each family member's gaze directly. For the first time, none of them looks down at me. "Coffee?" I offer again, my voice steady as the land beneath our feet. Half an hour later, I stand at the head of the conference table, watching Celeste regain her composure after the initial shock. Her designer blouse shows a small coffee stain, the first imperfection I've seen on her in years. "Remember when we used to pick berries at Grandma's farm?" Celeste's voice shifts to a nostalgic softness I haven't heard since childhood. "We were a team then, Marley. We can be again." Mother dabs at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. "My blood pressure has been so high the doctor wanted to hospitalize me last week. The stress is killing me." Her voice catches. "Is that what you want?" Father straightens his shoulders, his silver hair catching the light from the barn windows. "I always saw potential in you, Marley. Why do you think we paid for Northwestern? We invested in you." Damien slides forward a folder with glossy presentation pages. "We can structure a family partnership. Your land provides the collateral. We handle the financial aspects. Everyone wins." The pressure builds as they escalate their tactics. Celeste pulls Tiffany forward, her hand on the teenager's shoulder. "Your niece's future is at stake," Celeste says, her voice breaking perfectly on cue. "Her college fund, everything we planned for her." "The Grangers have never faced public humiliation," Father adds. 3 generations of respect in this community, gone because you refuse to help your own blood." Mother rises shakily. "If you let this happen, you will never be welcome in my home again." Father leans forward, voice dropping to a harsh whisper. "After all, we sacrificed for you. Your education, your first car, everything you are comes from what we gave you." I feel Micah's steady presence beside me but don't look his way. Instead, I walk slowly around the table, touching each piece of evidence we've arranged. This folder contains every dismissive comment made at holiday gatherings for the past 5 years. I tap a thick blue binder. "Thanksgiving 2022, Dad. You told your golf friends I was wasting my education playing in dirt." I move to the next document. These are the transcripts of calls Damien made to Red Oak Restaurant, Harvest Table, and Prairie Kitchenall, telling them our farm was unreliable and too small to fulfill contracts. My finger traces down to printed emails. These are messages Celeste sent to our mutual friends from college, calling our operation a hobby farm and warning them not to invest in our cute little project. Leonard clears his throat and stands, adjusting his bow tie. Mr. Granger, Mrs. Granger, I need to make the financial reality clear. Mr. Granger. Damian Granger has engaged in financial misconduct resulting in the loss of approximately $2.2 million across 17 retirement accounts, including yours. The color drains from Mother's face as Leonard continues. There is a pending SEC investigation that Mr. Granger has not disclosed to this family. He slides forward official, looking documents. Meanwhile, Verdant Edge Solutions has received 3 acquisition offers in the past month alone. The lowest would make Mr. and Mrs. Quinlan multimillionaires. I feel a strange calm settle over me as I finally speak my full truth. Family doesn't show up only when it's convenient, I say, meeting each of their eyes in turn. You don't ask someone to destroy their life for mistakes you mocked them for avoiding. I pick up a jar of soil from our first harvest. The dirt you laughed at? It's now worth more than all your investments combined. Father starts to speak, but I raise my hand. For once, he falls silent. There will be no financial bailout, no land sale. My voice remains steady. Instead, I have contact information for 3 financial counselors who specialize in recovery from investment fraud. I place a business card on the table. I also have the name of a family therapist. Before any further relationship with me, you'll need to complete 6 sessions. I look directly at Celeste. Tiffany's future was your responsibility, not mine. You chose luxury vacations and status symbols while Micah and I reinvested everything into building something sustainable. Father slams his fist down, his face flushing dark red. You ungrateful little after everything we've done for you. Who do you think you are? Mother collapses into genuine tears, not the theatrical kind she normally produces. She looks at Father with something I've never seen before doubt. Damian stands, straightening his tie. I have contacts. I can fix this. The SEC investigation is a misunderstanding. Celeste stares at me, her perfect mask cracking completely as she finally understands what her years of mockery have cost her. The dynamic shifts as Harper rises from her chair and walks deliberately to stand beside me. I want to learn, she says simply. About the farm. About building something real. Tiffany looks up from her phone for the first time. Could I maybe work here sometimes? In summer? The USDA officer who had been quietly observing whistles low. Mrs. Quinlan, that irrigation system prototype is remarkable. The water conservation metrics alone would qualify you for the innovation grant. Leonard smiles slightly. National Sustainable Agriculture magazine wants to feature your story next month. They called this morning. Celeste gathers her purse, eyes downcast. Father helps Mother to her feet, their movements stiff with shock and anger. Damian collects his now useless contracts. They file out without further words, the convoy of expensive cars kicking up dust as they retreat down our long driveway. Only Harper remains, perched on the edge of a chair. Is there a way forward? For me, I mean? I watch my parents' car disappear around the bend, feeling Micah's arm slip around my waist. The harvest always reveals what you've truly been planting all these years, I say quietly. At the present, I shield my eyes against the afternoon sun as 20 agricultural students trail behind me through rows of experimental drought-resistant corn. 6 months since the confrontation with my family, and our farm has transformed into something beyond even my wildest dreams. The irrigation sensors communicate with weather prediction algorithms. I explain, pausing to let them take notes. Reducing water usage by 43% while increasing yield by nearly 17%. A young woman with determined eyes raises her hand. My father says sustainable farming is just liberal propaganda that can't feed real Americans. The words strike a familiar chord. Rachel, right? When she nods, I recognize the look, that hungry hope beneath defensive armor. My family said similar things. Now we're feeding more Americans than their investment portfolios ever did. Behind the students, the contrast tells our story better than words could. Our weathered historic barn, the one my family mocked during our wedding, now stands beside a gleaming laboratory facility with floor-to-ceiling windows. Inside, Micah guides visiting scientists through diagrams of our patented irrigation systems. Later that evening, the barn glows with the same twinkling lights from our wedding day, but everything else has changed. Instead of my family's tight smiles and forced politeness, genuine celebration fills the space. Local farmers who supported us from the beginning raise glasses alongside restaurant owners who built their farm-to-table menus around our produce. To growing what matters, I say, my voice steady as I address the gathering, no trembling hands, no heat crawling up my neck. The confident woman speaking barely resembles the bride who endured her sister's cutting toast years ago. Harper appears at my side, bumping my shoulder affectionately. Her weekend visits to help with farmers markets have become a welcome constant. I'm sorry, she says softly, not for the first time, for staying quiet all those years. You're here now, I remind her, watching her eyes light up as she describes her fledgling garden design business. My guidance has helped, but the passion is all hers. The conversation shifts when our county supervisor approaches with a plaque recognizing our innovation in agricultural technology. Last month, the governor visited to acknowledge the rural jobs we've created. Neighboring farms now implement our water conservation techniques, transforming the county into what national media has dubbed America's sustainable heartland. Rachel, the student from earlier, finds me near the dessert table. My parents think farming is for people who couldn't hack it in the real world, she confesses. We've established a scholarship, I tell her, for students whose families don't support their agricultural dreams. Her expression equal parts disbelief and hope reminds me why we started hosting community classes and building a network for first-generation farmers. Harper brings news that adds a strange punctuation to our celebration. Celeste and Damien separated last week, she says, and Mom and Dad asked if they could visit, to see what you've built. Micah joins us, his hand finding mine. What do you think? Boundaries, I say after a moment. Clear ones. As guests depart, we walk to the highest point on our property. The setting sun paints golden light across fields stretching toward the horizon green squares of innovative crops spreading like hope across what was once dismissed as worthless dirt. I kneel and scoop rich soil into a mason jar, a small seedling nestled within. My hands, still calloused and work-worn, have never felt more capable. Micah shows me the expansion plans on his tablet drought-resistant crops that could transform farming in climate-vulnerable regions. Success isn't what they think it is, I say, watching the last light fade. It's knowing the difference between what grows and what only appears to grow. The farm they mocked has become the foundation for something that may feed millions, and that is a harvest worth every tear.